Hey, thanks for clicking on my video. 𝗧-𝗦𝗧𝗦 here, and as I'm sure you all are aware of, Ethereum mining is going to come to an end, and it's going to be happening fairly soon. And that got me thinking, like, is there still any GPUs that you can buy today and have it be completely paid off, like before Ethereum goes to proof of stake? So as we all know now, you mine Ethereum and that makes you a bit of money, and Ethereum is going to move away from being mineable, which is called its proof of work, and it's going to move to proof of stake instead, which means it won't be mineable anymore. And I've made a rather comprehensive spreadsheet here, and just before we jump into that, I just want to say, of course, this is not financial advice by any means, and also if you want, there will be a link to the spreadsheet in the description of the video. You can either just look at it there, or you can make a copy and you can fill in some of your own numbers. For example, if you disagree with what you think the GPU prices should be and things like that. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's jump into this spreadsheet now. So as you can see, I've listed pretty much all of the GPUs that I could think of that can mine Ethereum, and I've also included AMD GPUs this time, which for those of you who saw my Ravencoin video, you'll be happy to see that I've got AMD GPUs this time too. I got the hash rate for each of these GPUs, and I've got the power consumed at that hash rate. So finding and putting together like proper reliable sources for all of these GPUs took about a week. That's what I've been doing for this past week. Not only the only thing, but it is what I've been doing. Like this is the video I've been working on for over a week. That's why there's been no other video this week. So let's jump into just what this is, and you can also see here, if you download and make a copy of this spreadsheet, you can fill in your cost of electricity, and you can also fill in what the current price of one Ether is. So let's just jump into it with an example, right? So we got our GTX 1660 here, which get about 25 megahash per second at a power draw of about 55 watts. So that will give you about 0.00075 Ether per 24 hours, so per day, right? And it will consume 1.3 kilowatt hours in that time. And this GPU, like current market price, I would say is about 325. I'm sure you are gonna disagree, because GPUs cost differently in different parts of the world, which is why you can download this spreadsheet, make a copy, and fill in your own GPU prices if you so choose. But anyway, moving on, I've also got this column here, which is income per 1 gigahash per second. So what do I mean by this? Well, this was just something I added to the spreadsheet because I wanted to sort of compare the GPUs by this. So what it means is, if you were to have a mining farm of just this GPU, that in total gave you 1 gigahash a second. So for the 1660 regular, that would be 40, right? So if you had 40 1660s, that would give you 1 gigahash, and then the income from that would be $54.72 per day. So that is after electrical cost. So that is what the point of this column here is sort of, all else the same, same hash rate for all of them, which is sort of the most cost efficient in that way. And as you can see here, we have some GPUs that give you below $50 per gigahash, and some which are almost, well, not quite $60 per gigahash, but we have some above 55. I just thought that was really interesting, that there's actually that much of a difference. And of course, all of these numbers are, at the current price of Ethereum, which is around $2,000, and also at the current sort of network difficulty of Ethereum. which of course is going to change over time. But let's get into like what you're all here for, which is, you know, what will happen up until ETH 2.0, you know, proof of stake, end of mining. So we have a few things to consider here, which is, the first thing is we got EIP 1559 coming up, and that is coming up either on or slightly before the 4th of August. At least that is, you know, what sort of seems to be the consensus right now. So what I have done in this spreadsheet is I've said we're making, you know, the full sort of yield for Ethereum, which is what I've got here in this column here, up until then. And then after the 4th of August, you'll be making 15% less, which seems to be what people are sort of expecting. You know, like you'll take a 15% cut in sort of your mining profits or your mining yield after then. So let's move on to, we have two scenarios here, which I believe were outlined by 𝗧-𝗦𝗡𝗥𝗧𝗦, I believe that's his name, sorry if it's not, where he said like the current timeline for Ethereum going to proof of stake instead of proof of work, so when it stops being mineable, is it's going to be either before holiday season 2021, which is this year, which I interpreted as early November, because I figure holiday season, the Americans probably mean like Thanksgiving, Christmas, so early November is what I've like put that down as. Or he said if it's not then it's going to be first quarter of 2022. So I put that down as just middle of February, so middle of quarter one, right? So let's look at our first scenario here, which is, what if Ethereum goes to proof of stake in November of 2021? And let's use our GTX 1660 as an example again. So by then, one GTX 1660 will have mined 0.07 Ether. It will have used up 142.5 kilowatt hours, and sort of the income that you got from that would be, at the current price of Ethereum, which is $2,000, it would have made you $127.72, which means it would not have paid for itself before Ethereum goes to proof of stake. Now, also keep in mind that there will be other coins to mine after Ethereum. Like mining is not dead after Ethereum goes to proof of stake. No, not at all. If anything, it will be more fun because there will be a more sort of like plethora of different coins to choose between, you know, once Ether isn't the king of mining anymore, so to speak. So it will be fun. It will be fun. Don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. But so as we can see here, a GTX 1660 will not pay for itself before Ethereum goes to proof of stake, if, you know, that happens in November of this year. But then I've also made a quite interesting column here, which is because, you know, the price of Ethereum, you know, is not always going to be $2,000. So you will mine 0.07 Ether before then, if difficulty stays, you know, somewhat similar to what it's, you know, seems to be right now. And take into account this is, you know, with EIP 1559, like yield reduction, you know, included in this. As you can see up here in the formula, we get 19 days of full yield and then 89 days of, you know, a 15% reduction of the yield. So that is taking EIP 1559 into consideration here. But so, you know, Ethereum, like the price of Ethereum could go up, and, you know, there is a point where, you know, 0.07 Ether would be worth $325, which is the price for this 1660, right? And that point is $4,779. So if you mined, you know, starting like the day of this video's release up until Ethereum goes proof of stake, if that happens in November of 2021, and you hang on to that Ether until one Ether is worth $4,779. Sorry. Then you can sell that, and the GPU will have paid for itself. So I hope you sort of understand how that works, right? Like, yes, there's the current profitability of mining, but you're mining, you know, like something that changes in value up and down, right? You're mining a cryptocurrency, so just take that into account. But what is very interesting then is we can then sort this spreadsheet by this column, and then we can see, you know, which of these GPUs would need like the lowest price, like would need Ethereum to hit the lowest price in order to pay for themselves. So if we look here, that seems to be an RX 480 8GB version, and I've put the price for those down as $325, and from my research they get around 32 megahash a second at 80 watts of power consumption, and sort of the yield you'll get before November of 2021, according to these you know, hypothetical calculations, again, not financial advice, nothing like that, you'll get about 0.09 Ether. And if Ethereum hits $3,800, which is a price Ethereum has reached before, then this GPU will have paid for itself, you know? So that is a possibility, you know? And we can also see here that the sort of most likely Nvidia GPU to pay for itself is the 1066 gig, which I have put down at about $250, and that, like, in order for that to pay for itself, Ethereum would have to hit $3,886. What's also a lot of fun, or maybe it's not a lot of fun, I don't know, but if we scroll all the way down, you know, we get into some of the like not so good GPUs for mining Ethereum. So we got the 3080 Ti with the new LHR limiter, which that's a very expensive GPU at $2,000. I've put that down, and while that will give you about 0.18 Ether, you know, since it's such an expensive GPU, Ethereum would need to hit like 11,000 in order for that to have paid for itself. Just interesting to see, you know, like it's kind of these cheaper GPUs that actually seem to manage better to be able to pay for themselves before proof of stake, if that were to happen in November. But let's move on to our second scenario, which is Ethereum going proof of stake in like Q1 of 2022 instead, which in my uneducated opinion, I should say, because I'm no expert on this at all, but I would say it's probably more likely that they're gonna hit the further in the future sort of deadline for this, which would be mid Q1. So let's have a look at what that would look like. So let us sort by this sheet instead. Oh, okay, yeah, there we go. So again, we see that an RX 480 is the most likely to pay for itself before then. And if we start looking out here now, that is looking very likely. You know, like you will mine almost 0.18 Ether by mid-February 2022 on a 480, and you know, for almost 0.18 Ether to be worth the price of a 480, which, what did I put that down as, $325, Ethereum only needs to hit just above $2,000, which, I mean, that is very likely. I mean, you know, like that's pretty much where Ethereum is right now. So it's not too far-fetched to think that Ethereum will be able to hit $2,055. So what does this mean? Well, it means that if you buy a RX 480 for $325, and you want that to be able to pay for itself just through mining Ethereum and nothing else after Ethereum, then just put it to mine, and it will make you about 0.18 Ether. And don't sell that ether for any less than $2,055, like at a Ethereum price of less than $2,055 per Ethereum. Yeah, does that make sense? I hope so. So if we go down this list here, I mean, I don't know what you would say is like a likely price for it, like to be able to sell Ethereum. But if we say anything under $3,000, because I mean that is a number Ethereum has hit before, then you have quite a long list of GPUs that would be able to like ROI, return on investment, before ETH 2.0, you know, going to proof of stake. And I guess it all comes down to sort of like, are you like, if as long as you're able to hold the Ethereum that you've mined and then sell it at a price point that will cover your cost, you should be able to have these GPUs pay for themselves, you know, and be free GPUs basically, right? But if we keep going down this list here, we can see there are some prices where it's looking less likely, right? Like, is Ethereum going to hit $4,426? Maybe at some point, but it's a lot less likely than it hitting 2,200, which it has hit before, you know, a lot. So I don't know, like, what is my overall consensus? Like, to me, this is just like, it's uplifting in a way. Like, it gives, like, it's encouraging, because I feel like there's a lot of sort of doom and gloom going on in the mining community about, you know, Ethereum mining going away soon, but you can still have very many GPUs ROI just through mining Ethereum still, and that is pretty good. That's pretty good still. You just have to be mindful of sort of what price you sell your mined Ethereum at. You know, I see, especially with a lot of new miners, they just, as soon as they get a payout, they sell it, right? But you for this to work out, like for this to in order for these GPUs to pay for themselves, you have to be a bit more mindful of like when you sell the ether that you mine. Yeah, does that make sense? Just before we wrap up here too, I thought a fun thing to do would just be to go through a few of these. So we see on top we have two AMD cards here, which I'm happy that I included some AMD cards this time, because they seem to be really like price efficient, if that's a term. And then what surprised me was the GTX 1060 coming out on top for Nvidia, because I mean, yeah, I guess it's a pretty good mining GPU still, at especially for the price. Like, if you can pick one of these up for $250, which I think is a reasonable price to find it at currently, then I mean it will pretty easily ROI, which that actually surprised me how high that was. I think I thought it would be lower, just because, as you can see, it pulls quite a bit of power at 100 watts, which we can also compare here on the income per 1 gigahash. You know, like if we find a different GPU, you know, like the GTX 1660 here, that also does 25 megahash, but pulls almost half the power of a 1060. You know, like the income is a lot higher, you know, more than $4 higher. But just because the I guess the like initial price of the GPU like plays a bigger part than the sort of like power consumption of it when we're talking such a short term here. You know, it's just up until at the latest mid-February, right? So power consumption, as I said, plays a smaller part there apparently, which that's interesting. So then just going through this list here, we can also see we got the RTX 3060 in 4th position here, which that also, like the RTX 3060 is such a good mining GPU, said no one ever, right? Because of the hash rate limiters. But that limiter is such a shame, because it really would have been such a beast for mining. It is such a beast for mining. It's just the stupid limiter. But as we can see here, you know, picking one of these up for $550, it still pays itself off as long as you sell your Ethereum for at least 2,170, which is a very, very reasonable price. And you get a free RTX 3060 as long as you're able to do sort of like the full hash rate tricks, I guess, which are a few if you get the version 1. The version 2 LHR cards, as of now, no like hack to get around the limiter yet, but maybe there will be soon. We got another AMD card next. Then we have the 1070, which is such a power inefficient card, you know, like only $48, but still, you can pick those up for so cheap, and they get like 28 megahash a second. So yeah, like they will pay themselves off. And there's kind of a bit of a trend here with like older cards, like they like sort of like mid-level older card, like older generation cards, kind of seem to be the ones that are most likely to pay themselves off fairly easily before, you know, proof of stake. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap the video up here because I feel like I'm rambling on, just because I find this whole thing so interesting. What I'll do, as I said, I'll post a link to the spreadsheet in the description of this video. Please feel free to have a look there, make a copy of the spreadsheet, and you'll be able to fill in your own electrical cost. You can fill in the prices of these GPUs, and all of the sort of numbers out here should update automatically, and you'll be able to make your own judgments based on, you know, your own numbers. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, then please give it one of these. I'd really appreciate that. And over here on the screen there will be some like other videos that you can watch because this video is over. You can also click the picture of my face to subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. But yeah, go click on that next video and I'll see you there. Goodbye. Bye 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 bye. Bye bye bye.